Top 5 Strangest Graves That Actually Exist. Rosalia Lombardo. The story behind the Rosalia Lombardo mummy is a mix of tragedy and fascination. Little Rosalia tragically passed away at the age of 2 from pneumonia in the year 1920. Her father, devastated by the loss, sought to immortalize her memory in a special way and decided to commission expert embalmer Alfredo Salafia to mummify his daughter. Alfredo accepted the task and set to work on Rosalia's mummification using innovative techniques for the time, such as replacing her blood with formaldehyde and drying her skin with a mixture of alcohol and glycerin. In addition, he used salicylic acid to protect her body from fungi. The final result was impressive, and today, Rosalia can be seen in a hermetically sealed glass case into which even nitrogen gas has been introduced to better preserve her. It's hard not to be fascinated by Rosalia's appearance, which looks like she's simply sleeping rather than being a mummy who is over 100 years old. Inez Clark. Inez Clark was a girl who tragically passed away at the age of 6 when she was struck by lightning in the year 1880. Her parents, completely heartbroken by the loss of their daughter, commissioned a life-size sculpture in her memory. The sculpture shows Inez seated on a bench in a lace dress, holding a parasol and a flower. Sculptures are quite common in tombs, but what makes her unique is that she is protected in a large plexiglass box. This grave is all the more disturbing when people who visit the cemetery report seeing a girl dressed in old-fashioned clothing playing near the grave. Many believe that it is Inez's spirit that still haunts the graveyard. It's completely understandable that this might be chilling to some, but it's also a touching display of parental love and care for their deceased daughter. Victorian mort safes. The Victorian era was known for its extravagant and eccentric customs, and the protection of the deceased was no exception. During that time, it became common to place iron cages over graves and cemeteries known as mort safes to protect the deceased from body snatchers. Body snatchers were a real threat at that time as they sold the stolen bodies to local medical institutions for study. Therefore, mort safes were not intended to keep the deceased inside the graves but to prevent body snatchers from digging them up. It's hard to imagine how scary it must have been for the relatives of the deceased to see these cages over the graves of their loved ones. But for Victorians, it was a necessary measure to protect bodies from ruthless snatchers. Fortunately, this practice faded over time, and it's now difficult to find any more safes in cemeteries today. Taira no Masakado. Taira no Masakado was a samurai who lived during the Heian period and led a rebellion against the central government based in Kyoto. Struggle against the state had serious consequences, and in 940, he was executed by decapitation as punishment for his actions. It is said that his head did not decompose for 3 months after his demise and that his eyes continued to rotate in his skull over time. His head was buried in what is now Tokyo, and he became the hero of a legend. The legend states that if Masakado's tomb is desecrated or moved, a great natural disaster will befall the land. Masakado's tomb is the oldest and best preserved in the world. It is a sacred place for many Japanese people who consider him a spiritual protector of the city. The story of Taira no Masakado continues to fascinate people around the world, and his tomb is an important tourist attraction for those interested in Japanese culture. In addition, his legacy as a samurai and his struggle against the central government remains a symbol of resistance and a fight for justice for many Japanese people today. Lily E. Gray. The story behind Lily E. Gray's headstone is quite mysterious. The inscription on her headstone, which reads "Victim of the Beast 666, has left many cemetery visitors perplexed. But the truth behind this inscription is even stranger as it turns out that Lily's husband, Elmer Gray, had an obsession with conspiracy theories and deeply distrusted the government of the United States. After Lily's demise, Elmer blamed the government for it and refused to accept any financial assistance they could offer. Instead, he decided to build the headstone with the inscription "Victim of the Beast 666" as a form of protest against the government. Although it's an intriguing story, the truth behind Lily's demise remains unknown. Was she really a victim of the government or simply a victim of circumstance? No one knows for sure, but Lily's headstone remains an intriguing mystery for those who visit the cemetery.